Well, I don't have any of my assistants with me. This is a bigger job this morning,
Oh.
but I got it. I think I can do it. We got this. You guys ready?
We have your
All
back.
right, all right, super. Well, good morning, everybody. This is Peter Hernandez, and this is the Friday Morning Drive. This was the actual podcast that started it all, where we every week interview somebody exciting, motivational, can be on a variety of topics. But the idea is, what can we learn? How do we improve ourselves? And just having great people and just kind of ending the week on a high note. So thank you all for joining us on the Friday Morning Drive. And if you want to listen to previous episodes, you can find them on iTunes, Spotify, and the SoundCloud. So you can find them there. We upload everything afterwards. Well, this morning, I am super excited to have as my guests, Jacky Teplitzky and Barak. Is it Dunayer or Dunayer?
Dunayer.
Dunayer. And welcome to the Friday Morning Drive. It's just really great to have you both.
Great to be here.
So we were prepping yesterday for this call, and I wanted to just tell you that we were thinking about going into COVID and talking about how to survive in this marketplace and things like that. And I'll let them touch a little bit about what's going on in their marketplace and how they came together and all that. But in talking to them, I found that they have one of the most functional, well-run teams at Douglas Elliman. And I get probably asked that question more than any other question. How do I build a team? How do I grow a team? How do I manage a team? And these are questions that everybody's asking because teams are kind of the flavor of the day right now. And everybody either wants to be on one or they want to start one. So just to kick this off, Jacky and Barak, why don't you give us a little history, the markets you work in, how you guys came together, a little bit about your past. You have a very exciting, interesting past. And just kind of tell us a little bit about who you are.
Okay. Barak, do you want to go first?
Why don't you go ahead first, Jacky?
Okay. H before beauty, is that what you're saying?
No, I never said that, no.
All right, so I'll start first of all with, because I'm sure everybody's going to start wondering about my accent. So we're going to get my accent out of the way first. So I was born in Santiago, Chile. I'm a Latina. And then I immigrated to Israel. I lived in Israel for many, many years. And then I was in the corporate world, not in real estate. And basically I lived in London, lived in Madrid, and then came to New York. And that's where I'm still am in New York City, despite everything that is going on. So very early on, when I started in real estate, I was always, because I was a managing director of a large company before, I was always used to work with a lot of people around me. And suddenly I found myself getting into real estate and working alone. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, how am I going to grow my business? How am I going to expand? How am I going to serve everybody that I want to serve? And at that time, in New York at least, there were people either worked with an assistant, two assistants, a shower, maybe an administrative assistant, and that was it. Hi, Bill. Bill and I go way back to Corcoran. So, so then I said, I said, this is not, this is not going to work for me. I don't want an assistant. I don't want a shower. I want people that can feed my energy and basically complement what I don't do well. And that's how I came up with this idea of a team. In commercial real estate in New York, there were teams, but in residential real estate at the time, there weren't teams at all. So what I said to myself is, okay, what am I not good at? And the first person that I hired was a buyer's agent because I am not known for having a lot of patience. And that's how I started. And then basically it went on from there. So I'm going to allow, Barak to talk about his trajectory, and then we're going to tell you how we, both of us, came together.
Well, thank you. So I was also born, I was born in Israel, and for the first, from age 7 to age 27, I was trained as a professional musician. I was a trumpet player, and the reason I actually came to New York was to go to the Juilliard School. And after Juilliard, I thought about, how am I going to make a living? I also got married at the time. And believe it or not, I actually applied to go to law school. Almost, I got accepted to law school. Then I just said to myself, you have law school on one hand with 3 years of very intense academic work and $300,000 in debt, or you have 2 weeks and $350. So that was the reason I went into real estate, and law school kind of stayed behind. I started at a small company for 1 year. Then I thought I should go on my own. So I started out of my apartment. It was just me and my phone and my computer. And over time, my wife joined me in the business, and we built a company which was called Barak Realty. And over 12 years, we built it to 2 offices, West Side and East Side, and 40 sales associates. So we kind of learned the hard way sometimes on how to build a business, think about systems, think about, holding people accountable, surrounding yourself with the right type of people, picking the right people for the right positions, seeing the differences between administrative people and salespeople. And this is when, and this is a lot of experience was made during building this company for 12 years. After that, I sold the company to Halstead Real Estate, which is a major company here in New York. I was with them for 7 years. And then about 2 years ago or so, Jacky approached me, and she said she was always, somebody, I knew Jacky for many years. I always respected her as a great marketing mind, a great visionary in the business, a pioneer in many things. And she came to me and she said, things are changing, market is changing, industry is changing. Why don't we try to put our heads together and go at it together? And 2 are better than 1. And I said, fine. That was, I usually a person who makes pretty quick decisions. Of course, it took us, several more months to work out the details and all that. And we finally officially partnered up just about 14 months ago. And then it was, a lot of it was, and we can talk more about that, a lot about bringing 2 teams together. I had my own team from Halstead, and Jacky was at hers, bringing the synergies and making sure the team functions well as a one kind of mega team now. So, yeah.
Peter, you're on mute. You're now on mute.
That is certainly going to be more challenging than building your own team, because you've got it was just like when Douglas Elliman bought Telus Properties. You're merging cultures, you're merging systems, you're merging people. It's all trying to find the rhythm and the synergies and how to make things work really, really well. But let's go back a little bit. Let's just start let me ask you guys this question. Who should think about starting a team, and who do you think shouldn't think about starting a team? Because we kind of touched on that a little bit yesterday.
Yes. So I think that, everybody has this dream, the people that are thinking about starting a team, that, okay, I'm going to put together, 3-4 people. I'm going to tell, they will bring more business to the table and everything will be extremely rosy. What people don't realize, especially agents and brokers, is that when you put a team together, you as the team leader and us as team leaders, we continue selling. But in addition to that, we have a second job, basically, which is actually a first job, is to manage a team. So you need to manage a team. You have to hold everybody accountable. Everybody has to be happy in the team, correct? You want a good synergy within the team. You have to have operations in place. You have to have systems in place. You cannot allow one team member to talk in a different language than other people in the team do. So everybody, it has to be a very cohesive type of team with the same message, with the same image, with the same presentation. But I think that most team leaders that I have seen, and I have been in the industry for more than 20 years, I can tell you they fail because of one thing. they just don't know to manage. They are extremely good salespeople, but they are not good managers. And I always tell, people come for me, to us for advice, and I tell them, look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, can you manage other people? Are you capable of managing other people? Barak?
You've said so much. I just think, when you really have to think about it as a business, okay, there are many people, like Jacky said, who are great salespeople, great brokers, but they're not quite as good in running a business. One of the things that always guided me, and I've surely made my large number of mistakes and fell on my face many, many times during my career. I learned you have to really clearly define people's roles. And it's not like there's a difference between a group, okay, which is a bunch of people kind of doing they're doing their own thing, and maybe the team kind of gets a piece of it, and a team. When you have well-defined roles and really one goal that the whole team is going against. I call it rock and roll. The goal of the team is the rock, and everybody's got their own roles, right? And then you become a rock and rolling team. All right, so you have to really distinguish between administrative people. They're not the same as salespeople. Totally different skill set, totally different setup. You have to define the roles of the salespeople, give them the systems, establish systems, great communication. We have weekly team meetings that we don't, even now we do it remotely, obviously during COVID and all that. You have to have that and think about it as a business and be a very strong manager to be successful.
So let me ask you guys this. I got a call from one of our top agents last week, and she says, I really want to build a team, but I've gone through 3 assistants, they were all horrible. And, I just need someone to do that for me. And I was talking to Bill about this, and Bill and I both agree that if you want to hire an assistant, and then you want them to do the way you want to do it. I think you mentioned that, Jacky. You want them all with the same look, the same dialogue, the same, business model. Everybody's got to be lockstep, right? So there's really only one person that can train, and you have to kind of front load the effort and take the time. So what would you say to somebody that came to you and said, gee, I've had 3 assistants. They were all horrible. I don't have time to train them. What would be your response?
What I want to say is that we hear it actually a lot, Barak and I, because Barak and I were interviewing people to be our team manager, and we interviewed so many people. I cannot even remember how many people we interviewed. But the number one claim that we heard from people that were working for other teams, they were telling us that they were left alone in the office. That they didn't know what to do. They were told that they have to do this and this and this and this, but they were completely lost in space. Some of them even told us that for weeks they didn't see the team leader even in the office. That it was, and I know that now we are in a remote world, but still, hopefully when we go back to some normalcy, we will see the people that work with us. You cannot do that, and Barak has very, what he brought to the table to my team was this very, very strong operation and organizational skills that he has. So Barak, you take it from there.
Well, I gotta say, when you hire, I think it's a great idea for a busy broker to hire an assistant first, okay, to take care of some of the administrative workload, right? So the broker has more time to be out there selling. But what, as Jacky alluded to, and we see this over and over again in teams that are less successful, is that the brokers fail to spend the necessary time up front in the beginning, okay, with the assistant or where the administrative person, or whoever they hire to the team, okay, in order to really establish, train them and establish the standards that they're holding them accountable in order to run the team efficiently. So one of the most important things that we always care about, and is that easy to do? No, because we're also very, very busy selling, okay? But we have to spend a lot of time with our people, especially in the beginning of the relationship. So you have to, it took us, Jacky, 6 or 7 grueling and terrible months until we found Iman, right, our operations manager. Shout out to Iman, who is amazing. Okay, but we didn't want to settle for somebody who is less than, you know, top talent and really gel with us and our culture and really be a great fit. And even after we took us 6 or 7 grueling months, we spent the first 2 or 3 months with her on a daily basis, you know, going through each and every task and going through with it also. Let her do it.
I want to say Barak is not giving himself enough compliments. I can tell you that Barak was in the office every single day at 8 a.m., okay, with her before anybody came to the office in order to train her in the right way. So he was really like extremely hands-on from the beginning. So even we were doing it off hours, not when we are all in the office.
That's the time to do it, at 8 o'clock in the morning, and that before, you know, because the day gets crazy at 10 or 11, right? So.
Well, wait a minute. You mean if I start a team, I'm not going to work less?
No,
right,
no.
right. So
No,
let me ask you guys this. You are now at a place where you have 10 people on your team. You're in 2 markets.
Yeah.
You've got an admin person. You've got a marketing director. You have an operations director. You've got the money person and the stager. And you have 3 agents in New York and 2 agents in Miami.
Yeah.
As someone thinking about building a team, when do I start building my team? In other words, at what part of my career should I begin to build a team? And so my second question is, what is the progression? What is the order of things in building a team?
So I can tell you from when I started the team. So when I started the team, as I mentioned before, the first person that I hired personally was actually a buyer's agent, somebody that had a lot of patience, somebody that could go with somebody, show somebody, you know, 20 apartments, because when we started, you know, in the 90s, we were showing 20, 30 apartments before anybody bought anything. We forgot about those days. So I hired that person. Then when that person started to be, and that person at the beginning was doing, for me, was doing 50% of her time was devoted to admin, and first 50% was devoted to buyers. When the buyers and our business started to increase so much, we started to get so many sellers and so many buyers, we said to ourselves, okay, now we need the admin. Now, some people do it the other way around. Some people do the admin first. I did it in that way. So when the admin person came, she had a lot of, you know, she had enough work between the both of us. Now, the progression was, you know, a year later or I think a year or 2 years later, that admin person at that time we were 2 people, was basically also doing some of our marketing. But then my strength and my passion, okay, I'm passionate about marketing. So I wanted to build a brand, not only, you know, that I'm successful in real estate, but I wanted to build a very strong brand. So we had to hire a PR person. And then I realized that we needed to basically separate the marketing from the admin. And that's when we hired somebody that was only devoted to marketing. So you have to, you always have to project yourself for a year ahead. You can't build something, you can't like stretch yourself to a point that you said, oh my God, I need an admin and I need it now, and I'm going to compromise on whoever I find. No, no, no. You have always to think ahead. So then when you hire that person, you are ready for that person, but also you're ready to basically produce more money in order to cover those expenses, obviously.
So Jacky and Barak, you know, I think as you build a team, you realize, you know, well, even if you're a really super successful agent, you know, the thing that's going to take you to the next level is efficiency and operations, right? I mean, that is really what's going to free you up to do what you do best. And I'm going to ask Bill to kind of ask the next question, because Bill is, I'm just going to say on this podcast, probably the best operations person I've ever worked with. He comes from, you know, Corcoran, where you guys know him, right? And
Yep.
We're so lucky to have him on the
Well,
West.
we work together.
Yes.
Because when you're running operations, man, you got to be organized. Bill, what would be your thought on that?
Well, as I was listening to Jacky talk about, how she built her team, and you guys were talking about the need for sort of mentoring in a way the people who come into your team. I was thinking back to how I got started in the business, which was as an executive assistant, and not for such an easy person, as Jacky can attest. And the thing about that was, in order to be good at that work for her, she really did, my manager had to take the amount of time necessary to make sure that I spoke with her voice and thought with her thoughts, right? And that's not something that someone just comes in knowing. They might be very talented, they might be very capable, but they aren't necessarily yet right for you, right? You need to do the work in a way to make sure that they know how you want things done, and that people learn when they go to them for help or ask, what would Jacky want in this situation? How can I get to the right goal, that they're going to give the right answer for you, and that person's going to realize, oh, this person is trustworthy for me when I need to know what Jacky or Barak are thinking, and I ask them, they're going to give me the right answer. And that's the only way to get to that point is with an investment of time and energy. And the most helpful thing that Pam did for me at Corcoran, and Stephen Kotler did the same thing for me actually when I started here at Douglas Elliman. They let me share their office.
I wanted to say that.
Right? They sat right next to me.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it seems weird, right? But
yeah.
Sitting together, and Stephen and I did it for a 6-month period. Pam and I did it for a year. It really, by osmosis, I listened to how she talked to people. I learned what she would do in any, in common situations. And after a while, it was like I knew inherently what they wanted and how to be effective for them. And so I was really heartened to hear what Barak said before about, he goes in for an hour before work really starts and just sits with her and talks with her, works with her, like goes through the things. That kind of investment is essential. And eventually, that reaps rewards, because you get to a place where you don't have to be on top of them all the time anymore. You can trust that they're going to say the things you want said when you're not there. But at the front, it's a ton of work, right? On both sides.
100%. And I want to add also that you have to set up the jobs correctly, right? And a lot of brokers that I see trying to build a team are really not getting this quite right. First of all, they're getting a lot of people maybe who want to be brokers, but want to be an assistant, okay, to have some steady, right, for a year or two, and then go on their own.
Right.
Okay, when you pick a really, really strong operations or administrative person, you got to get somebody who wants to be an administrator, who wants to be in operations. Some people get really excited about that. Not everybody, and think about it. Some brokers are many brokers are terrible in operations. They're amazing salespeople, but they're all over the place when it comes to organization, right? So you have to pick really, really, as team leaders, one of our primary responsibilities is putting the right people in the right jobs. If we're able to do that, we've got like 85% of our work cut out for us. Yeah. And the other thing that a lot of brokers not really doing, because again, money is they don't want to spend the money, is if you take an operations person or administrative person, you got to pay him a salary. Okay. They cannot be like a part of the deals or a percentage or something, because it's different type of people. And even if you start in part-time in the beginning, in order to take away from you some of the operational and administrative load, you got to pay him a salary. Maybe also a piece of the business, but pay him a steady salary, because this is what these people are, in order to be really strong in administration and not to worry about, deals. This is what you need to do.
And I also want to add one more thing to that. Look, by the end of the day is that if you have a very strong backup office operation, you're also going to be able to retain your salespeople, okay? So, when I'm talking to Julio, Adrian, Kayla, by the way, Kayla is right now in San Diego. If anybody of you is in San Diego, she's now in the, okay, so we have a San Diego person.
San Diego person else here.
Okay, Kayla, Fernanda, Brendan. So you have to understand that, what you don't want is a revolving door. And I think that that's the other, we talked a lot about admin, but let's talk about salespeople. What I see in most of the teams in New York City, at least, is that you don't even know who is on anybody's team anymore, because people come and go, people come and go, people come and go. And we give a lot of visibility to our team members, but also because we have a strong operation. So those team members, instead of going on their own, you know, that's usually what happens. People come, they want to learn from you. They think that they can do better than you. They can make more money if they go on their own. But we have a very high retention rate. And the reason is because we give a strong support system to our salespeople, and then they want to stay. They are thinking, oh my God, if I have to do this on my own, you know, is it worth for me to go on my own?
So I think, you know, part of this is too, I mean, there's so much we got to do. We have like 7 minutes left. We're pretty much done with the call, but let's just stay on this topic then for a second. So as you're building your team and you're talking about that, you started with a buyer's agent. Barak, is that how you started? Did you start with a buyer's?
No, I actually started with a part-time assistant, meaning to do the administrative work. And then I went to full-time because I wanted to be out selling, and I think it's different types of person who does administrative. I started with the administrative first.
So you can see the two different personality sides here. Jacky, a little more on the sales, was more worried about the buyers, and he was more worried about freeing himself up for time. So, you know, seeing that your team has a mix of personalities and profile types is critical, because you want to make sure that you're not all the same, or you're not, you know, going to be leveraging each other the best.
We're not all the same, but we all have the same goals.
All right, so let's go to this. So then, what would be your next hire? Let's start with you, Jacky. After you had your buyer's agent, what did you do next?
So then I hired a marketing person. So we had basically we had marketing, we had admin, and we had buyer's agent. As we grew and the business grew, we started to see where I would say our strength is. So at that time, it was, you know, because we were so strong in marketing, we were very strong in, you know, representing sellers. So I started to hire more people that can work with sellers. And then, you know, you always want to have the balance, correct? You want to have that balance between, you know, buyers and sellers that you represent. So if it's a buyer's market or if it's seller's markets, you don't lose out. So I always try to keep that balance according to the market conditions, and basically, you know, look ahead. Till I got to a point that I said to myself, okay, I have exhausted all my brain power or my creative power. So now what do I need? Do I need more salespeople? Do I need more admin people? Or do I need a partner to come and basically, you know, take us to the next step in the professional life? So that's how I basically realized that I didn't want to continue expanding the team without having another person, you know, on my side by side that has a different perspective, a different set of skills that I have, and in order to put this together. And
you, Barak, what was your next hire after you had your admin person?
After the administrator person, a buyer agent.
A buyer agent.
Yep.
So basically, you just kind of reverse the order a little bit.
Right.
Let's finish on this, and then I think we're going to have to bring you guys back. And please respond to me in the chat if you'd like to hear more, because we didn't get to talk about their systems and procedures, their playbook, their policy manual, their agreements with their team members. We didn't get to talk about your profit sharing, your expense sharing. I mean, there's so much we can get into in this.
All your secret sauce.
All the secret sauce. But I would like to.
That's all with one caveat. You know, referrals.
We knew that was coming.
We knew that was coming. But let's end with this last thought, and then we'll bring you guys back another time. What, on a daily basis, how do you manage the team? I mean, how do you just keep all things going on a daily, weekly basis?
So Barak, you start.
Look, I mean, we're not talking about the last 3 months, right? Because we've been at home, right? So that's been different. But we come to the office. I usually come right at 8:30. I meet with Elliman, our operations director, and kind of see where we stand with everything. Kind of get the order of the day going, order of the week. We have, you know, the salespeople. We like him to encourage. We encourage him to come to the office, right? We don't believe in working from home so much for reason that Bill mentioned, right? That you sit in the same office and you kind of hear each other on the phone and how people are reacting, and you can correct things and get inspired by things and all of that. So we sit in very tight office, and we're a lot of us are there all the time. We have a weekly sales meeting, okay, a team meeting, everybody, including Miami, including New York, everybody for 2 hours. Right now we do this on Zoom, but we do it on in person when we are allowed. And it's all about, you know, we're on top of things. We know where all the deals are. Every meeting, we talk about generic things, about, you know, how to improve our operations, how to improve the teams, what's working, what's not working, where is the vision, where we're going, what our goals are, where we stand year to date, where we need to be, etc. Then we talk about every single deal that's happening, every single listing, every single contract, you know, issues and things like that. So everybody, even if they're not directly working on that deal, they know what's going on, and it brings a sense of ownership and cohesiveness to the team. That's really that's what we're working for.
I have a question I have a question for both of you based on that. I mean, that is kind of the apex of where you want to get to in terms of having, you know, constructed a team that works together, that has common purpose, that has common vision, and where everybody has a role that's defined and it works like a well-oiled machine. That's what I just heard in what you said. So my question, I think probably the question I have for you, and I bet all the agents listening would have, is once you achieved that, what did you find that you, as the Rainmakers, were able to do that you couldn't do before? What did it do for you personally?
To be able to think, to be able to plan. You know, when you are on your own, you basically are like, you go, you show, you go, you know, there is a contract, there is this. You don't even have the time to think and to project for the future. You know, how is your business, where is your business going to be in 5 years? Where is your business going to be in 2 years? You know, what's going to happen? So, you know, you can actually, you know, have a structure. And, you know, I can say that, you know, Barak brought the structure of, like, even him and me, we are in the same office, but we have a weekly meeting for 1 hour outside the office in a conference room, you know, just to talk about things that we don't manage to talk on a daily basis. The other thing, we have a strong reporting, okay? We use top producer as our, you know, CRM. But in addition to that, we also, we keep everything very updated, where every single deal is, you know, and then if there are issues with the deals. So everything is, like, you know, very, very, very well organized. And then we know exactly till which stage the agent, the salesperson handles the deal, and then what happens from that point on.
Great. So I want to thank you guys both very, very much for being on the call this morning. And
thank you for having us.
In my first 3 seconds of talking with you both, I knew you had a well-oiled machine. I mean, there was just no doubt in my mind. And
if anybody has questions, please email us. We are very, you know, open to share. We don't, you know, Bill knows us for a long time. I am not a person that keeps, you know, the information for myself. The contrary, I want the industry to be a better industry. That's what we want to achieve, and Douglas Elliman to be the best of the best.
Well, that's why we love you guys, because, you know, we got a lot of deals flowing back and forth between the two coasts. So we want to make sure you guys get a little bit of them, and we want you to bring some to us too. So refer to us too.
Absolutely.
And Jacky, when you come back, we'll have dinner on me.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right, everybody.
I choose the restaurant, though. I'm choosing the restaurant.
Well, have a great Friday, everybody, and a great weekend. And we'll be back next Friday with another Friday morning drive.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
Be safe. Take care.
Thank you.